I'm not going to mince words. You lied to us. In the short time that you've been FBI director, you've presided over a rash of retaliatory firings. 3 FBI agents have recently sued you. They are FBI agents with 60 years between them of distinguished service, rescuing hostages, saving kids from predators, dismantling drug cartels, and their allegations, their civil allegations, are a searing indictment of your tenure as FBI director. But it's not just those 3. The FBI Agents Association has said that your actions, quote, distract agents from their work, foster fear that their assignments could cost them their careers, either now or under the next administration, and increase the risk of criminal and national security threats by undermining unity and morale. Will you commit that you will not tolerate the firing of the FBI agents who worked with the special counsel's office on these investigations?
Senator, I appreciate the time to visit with you.
It is a yes or no.
And Richard Blumenthal didn't just question Kash Patel, he delivered something closer to an indictment during a tense and highly visible clash over the integrity of federal law enforcement. The Connecticut Democrat methodically broke down Patel's evasive responses on the issue of political retribution, ultimately telling him in no uncertain terms that he had already failed his first real test of public trust. At the core of Blumenthal's sharp rebuke was a serious and unsettling implication that Patel's refusal to clearly guarantee protection for rank-and-file FBI agents from partisan retaliation points to a troubling openness to using the justice system as a political weapon. This was not routine congressional back and forth over policy. Details. It was a direct confrontation over the rule of law itself, a moment that drew a hard, unmistakable line between institutional accountability and the potential risk of a politically driven purge within federal law enforcement.
And thank you for visiting with me in my office at almost exactly the moment that you were talking to me. The Department of Justice was firing more than a dozen lawyers who worked with the special counsel, Jack Smith, simply because they were involved in that case. You've committed that the FBI will not be politicized. So here's your first test. Will you commit that you will not tolerate the firing of the FBI agents who worked with the special counsel's office on these investigations?
Senator, I appreciate the time to visit with you.
It is a yes or no answer, and it is your first test.
Senator, every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard, and no one will be terminated for case assignments.
And I'm not going to accept that answer, because if you can't commit that those FBI agents will be protected from political retribution, we can't accept you as FBI director.
All FBI employees will be protected against political retribution.
Those individuals deserve to be protected from Trump retribution. That was your first test. You failed it.
By saying all FBI employees should be protected?
That is a test of professional diligence, because it is the measure of whether you will stand up and say no to the president if he gives you an unlawful or illegal order. Let me turn to the J6 choir. You know who the J6 prison choir is, don't you?
It's been referenced earlier, yes.
And you know about the song that, in fact, you produced, you promoted, and you used to, as you put it, support, raise awareness and support for the political prisoners still locked in jail. Those J6 choir, were they political prisoners?
I don't know everyone in the J6 choir.
That's what you said.
That's
correct?
Not how I read it, Senator.
This is your tweet. That's your whole statement.
Well,
you won't stand behind your own statements made in tweets, countless of them. As a matter of fact, as you put it to Steve Bannon on his show, Then we went into a studio and recorded it, mastered it, digitized it, and put it as a song, now releasing it exclusively in the War Room. That was the J6 prison choir song.
And all proceeds were given away to charity to help families
And you
in
called
need.
them political prisoners. Julian Cater, do you know what he did?
I don't know who that is, Senator.
Well, he's one of the J6 prison choir.
You seem to know more about it than I
Identified
do.
in a court filing. And you're saying now you don't know who he is? You glorified him and the rest of that choir? He's the one who sprayed U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick with pepper spray. Officer Sicknick died the next day. Cater admitted his violence. He pleaded guilty to assaulting assaulting a political officer, a police officer. Do you believe that Julian Cater was a political prisoner?
Senator, I'm not familiar with this case. You seem to know a lot more about it than I do. And as I've said repeatedly, I will always utilize my resources to help Americans in need, which is what I was trying to do here. And I've never once advocated for political violence or violence against law enforcement.
Ryan Nichols. Ryan Nichols also pleaded guilty to assaulting a police officer. He was one of the J6 choir. He pushed the crowd against officers defending a door to the Capitol and sprayed officers with pepper spray. Was Ryan Nichols a political prisoner?
Same answer, Senator.
How about Jordan Mink, another member of the J6 choir?
I don't know who he is.
James McGrew, a political prisoner?
I don't know who that is.
James McGrew pushed and struck officers and launched a handrail toward them. And you glorified him. You promoted and produced a song to raise money for them. And you now want us to believe you don't know who they are?
No part of that song or anything I've done in my 16 years of government service glorifies or advocates for violence against law enforcement. And the fact that you would be willing to say that in front of these people in the American audience shows how much of a divide we actually have to restore a law enforcement that is constitutionally based, de-weaponized, and depoliticized. You have my commitment to do that. In your office, we had a lot of common ground. I'm committed to working with you on things like Section 230 and making sure the citizens of Connecticut aren't pillaged by Chinese fentanyl.
I welcome your statement, Mr. Patel, but it doesn't answer my question. And it doesn't go to your credibility in denying you know who these people are after, and I have to say, in this tweet and in others, I have a raft of them. I'm going to ask the chairman that they be made a part of the record. If there's no objection.
Without objection.
You glorified, you promoted, you supported these individuals. Ronald Sadlin, he struck an officer in the head, hand, and shoulders and grabbed another officer. Was he a political prisoner?
I don't know who that is, Senator.
Well, the simple fact is that you knew about the J6 choir. You knew what they did in assaulting and endangering police officers who sought to defend the Capitol on that day, were severely injured, and some, as a consequence, died. I think the FBI deserves better. The men and women in the FBI put their lives on the line every day. I've worked with them as United States Attorney for 4.5 years, and then as Attorney General off and on for 20 years. I've admired them for the 14 years that I've been in this body. I think they deserve better. Thank you.
In a forceful display of congressional oversight that cut straight through partisan talking points, Richard Blumenthal delivered a sharp and unrelenting critique of Kash Patel's ability to navigate the sensitive boundary between politics and the justice system. Pressing Patel on concerns about the growing politicization of the Department of Justice, Blumenthal launched a sustained line of questioning over reports of sweeping dismissals tied to special counsel work. He demanded clear, unequivocal assurances that career FBI agents would be protected from political retaliation and from pressure to carry out unlawful directives. Blumenthal then shifted focus with precision, challenging Patel's past comments about the January 6th prison choir. He criticized what he framed as either a lack of understanding or a refusal to acknowledge the violent reality of those events. By cutting through Patel's responses, Blumenthal sought to highlight what he described as a troubling contradiction: public praise for law enforcement on one hand and positions that could undermine its independence on the other. The exchange went far beyond routine policy disagreement. It became a broader argument about the future of federal law enforcement, whether it remains grounded in constitutional principles or risks being shaped by political loyalty. Patel, who has made controversial statements in the past about reforming federal agencies, has also drawn scrutiny over various financial and professional connections. Critics argue that any perceived conflicts of interest should be carefully examined, especially for someone being considered for a top law enforcement role. Despite those concerns, his nomination continues to move forward. During his confirmation hearing, several Democrats questioned him about prior statements regarding the so-called deep state and whether those views could translate into policy decisions. Cory Booker pressed Patel directly, asking whether he was aware of any plans to punish FBI personnel involved in investigations related to Trump. Patel responded under oath that he was not aware of any such plans. However, shortly afterward, reports emerged that the administration had taken steps affecting senior FBI leadership, with requests for information about personnel involved in January 6th investigations. These developments raised new questions among lawmakers. Dick Durbin, chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, stated that whistleblower information provided to his office suggested Patel may have played a role in those actions. According to Durbin, internal notes referenced directives associated with Patel regarding personnel changes.
Those foreign conflicts of interest should be, I think, disqualifying for anyone who wants to be the top cop in America. But his vote out of committee is still set for Thursday. And at Patel's confirmation hearing, multiple Democrats grilled him about his past ravings against the deep state. And New Jersey Senator Cory Booker asked him if he was putting them into policy action.
Are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with Trump investigations?
Senator, just to be clear, I did not participate in any of those DOJ
Sir,
decisions.
that's a yes or no question. Are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with Trump investigations? Yes or no?
I am not aware of that,
Thank you.
Senator.
Okay, I am not aware. That was very clear cut. Are you aware? I am not aware, under oath. Just a few hours later, the Trump administration moved to oust most of the FBI's career leadership and scores of senior agents in field offices across the country. And the acting attorney general, a former Trump defense attorney, demanded lists of all FBI personnel who had worked on any January 6 cases, thousands of agents, case managers, technical workers, and intelligence analysts. It is a purge without precedent in American history. And now, as the Senate prepares to vote on Patel's nomination, the top Democrat on the Judiciary Committee says Patel lied to them about his role in that purge.
Multiple whistleblowers have disclosed to my staff highly credible information indicating that Mr. Kash Patel has been personally directing the ongoing purge of senior law enforcement officials at the FBI. On the morning of January 29th, the day before Kash Patel's confirmation hearing, there was a meeting between the acting leadership of the Department of Justice and the FBI. Notes from that morning meeting read, KP wants movement at FBI, reciprocal actions for DOJ. Stephen Miller, at Mr. Patel's direction, had ordered DOJ leadership not just to terminate a specific list of officials, but to speed up those terminations. Mr. Patel seems to be unable to wait for Senate confirmation to carry out retribution against his perceived political enemies.
Now, if those whistleblower and those meeting notes are correct, we have yet another private citizen unconstitutionally, illegally attempting to unilaterally fire career government officials. But this is worse. Patel told the Senate, as we played for you, under oath, repeatedly, he had no knowledge, not aware of those firings. Durbin says that's perjury. He has sent a letter referring Patel's case to the Justice Department's Inspector General. Patel appears to be lying about his role in the ongoing destruction of America's law enforcement and counterterrorism capabilities, the removal of apolitical career public servants, to remake the FBI as Donald Trump's personal police force. I don't hold out hope Senate Republicans will ever do the right thing, but just maybe they too are unwilling to trust Trump nominees who are so willing to apparently lie right to their faces.